Hi everybody, my name's Julie. I'm writer and director of the indie nerdy comedy Geek Less Punk, and I took a shower and I have a cold, so I smell good, which is great. You can't smell me through the camera, but okay, and I don't want to exhaust my voice too much. I saw this movie called Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul. It's a really good movie, and so I want to go ahead and just give my thoughts on it really quick. I live in Oakland, California. I saw it through the San Francisco, there's like the San Francisco Film Society thingy. I'll put a link. Okay. So I got to see it for free. And then, my neighbor's having a birthday party. I was going to go, but I do have a cold and I don't want to do that to people. Also, they're having fun. They good. I'm going to close the window real quick though. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, alright, so yeah, I saw this movie called Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul. The thing I want to say about the movie, it's a really good movie. I don't know if it realizes it, but because I grew up going to church and my dad was a minister, there's actually things this movie touches on that are universal to anyone who went to church. But I'll go ahead, because it brought some stuff up for me. But I'll tell you the premise first. It's about a couple, a married couple, and they were leaders. The minister and his wife, they're leaders of this mega church. And then there's like this big scandal, and it's a mega church that makes like a crap load of money. There's like a scandal. The scandal really hurts the church. It doesn't seem to hurt them financially. They seem to be fine. So I guess they had really good savings accounts, right? So financially they seem fine. But attendance in the church has gone down by 5 people. Yeah, and that's pretty much the premise. Basically, it's about a couple. They're leaders of a mega church, and they have to deal with a scandal. Because of the scandal, they lose all their members, and you're watching their journey of trying to build their church back up and open their church back up. And it's a comedy. It's kind of like a mockumentary. I do recommend it. I totally recommend it. Okay, and now I'm gonna say like 3 positive things about it. Excuse me, but then it does bring some stuff up, especially if you grew up going to church, which I did. Okay, but also I'll first talk to you about the event I went to. So the event I went to, yeah, it was a San Francisco Film Festival. I think it's what it's called. So bad, because it was free. You didn't have to pay to go. I got the ticket for free, so I'll put the title here. Yeah, okay. So I went. It was at the Kabuki Theater in San Francisco. Very cool, AMC Kabuki Theater. There's like a line of people, like they're like the pickup people. Or anyway, I don't know. But I got in right away because I had a ticket. And the person who took my ticket, her name was Julie. So she's like, hey, that's my name. I was like, cool, nice to meet you, Julie. I don't know. Okay. It was cute. So then they're like, oh, like, okay, this is a cool story. So they're like, oh, just go up to, I thought they said go up to the 3rd level. So I went up 1 flight of escalators and I went up the other flight of escalators. I thought I was doing the right thing. So I go up the 3rd flight of escalators, and standing right there is Sterling K. Brown. And I was like, cool, this is the coolest thing ever. There's like a little crowd around him, but he's like standing there taking pictures. On my blog, I'll put all the pictures I took. And I was like, wow, this is cool. How many movies do you go to where the star is like standing right there? So so Sterling K. Brown's standing right there, and he has a little crowd of people like taking pictures of him. He seems so pleasant and wonderful and fantastic and amazing. And he hosted Saturday Night Live. When he hosted Saturday Night Live, it was so funny, and they did this bit where him and Melissa Villasenora, they do this bit, and it's a tribute to that band. Oh man. Oh god, I'll put the band name here, but it was actually kind of a sweet tribute to that band. So Anyway, great sketch. Okay, so I thought Sterling K. Brown did a great job hosting Saturday Night Live. Okay, so, and also he seems so lovely, such a lovely human being. Okay, so then this lady very politely said, hey, are you like lost? And I was like, maybe. She's like, I was just trying to get to the theater. And she's like, oh yeah, I think it's down there. This is like a VIP party. I was like, oh, my bad. No, she was so sweet. She was like, oh my gosh, don't even worry about it. Anyway, so I went back down the escalator, went to the second level, and then I sat down. And it was already pretty crowded, so I sat in the front row, so I got some decent pictures. So yeah. Okay, so the directors come out. The directors look young, but it's pretty cool. Like female directors. That's freaking awesome. I'll put their names here. They're originally from Atlanta. The movie takes place in Atlanta. So yeah. So the directors come out, and then Regina Hall comes out. Oh my gosh. So Regina Hall, this movie was also reviewed by Fish Jelly Reviewers, one of my favorite YouTube reviewers on YouTube. I can link to I'll totally link to their channel too, because they do great movie reviews. But they said Regina Hall is effervescent. That's what they said. I agree. I saw Regina Hall in person when she walked on stage, and granted, I'm like totally pretty much a lesbian, so that helps. But Fish Jelly Reviewers are two really awesome gay guys. So, and they're saying Regina Hall's effervescent. Yeah, great compliment. I guess just Regina Hall, stunning, beautiful, very beautiful woman. I was like, wow, very pretty, and very, very really good at acting. Right, great comedic actor. Really good in well, everything. Really good in everything. I mean, she really shined. I think what brought her, she was in all the scary movies, and that made her, I think that kind of made her sort of famous. And like, I think she really does shine in those movies, because those movies aren't very like plot oriented. They're not high art. I mean, they're funny and they're awesome, and I think they're great, but they're not high art. So to really shine in one of those movies, I think means you're super talented. So props to Anna Faris, props to Regina Hall, because they do shine in these movies that they're not really trying too hard to be a movie, but they're still funny. Like scary movies, they're all four of them are really funny. So and like I said, Regina Hall is fantastic in them. Okay. Okay, so yeah, the scary movies, funny movies. All right, so Regina Hall is gorgeous, stunning, beautiful woman. Sterling K. Brown, he comes out. He's handsome and awesome and delightful. Just a wonderful. He just seems like such a wonderful human being. So that's awesome. So they come out and they introduce the movie, and then Regina Hall makes a really funny joke, and I think she was surprised because, but it's San Francisco, so I'm not surprised. She was pleasantly surprised. So Regina Hall makes a funny joke about white people. She said, but it wasn't anything mean. Okay, she's like, they introduce the movie. They're like, okay, hope you enjoy it. Hope you like it, because the movie is about an African American church. But I gotta tell you, that's the thing about movies. They did touch on some universal truths that are true for anyone who grew up going to church. And I went to church with everyone at my church was white, so I went to a church that didn't have a lot of racial diversity. There's a lot of racial diversity at my middle school, elementary school, high school. Actually, my elementary school, it was like, elementary school is like 95% African American, and then me. It was awesome. It was fantastic. It was great. Okay, so, me and 3 other white kids, and but it was great. It was fantastic. So there's a lot of racial diversity at school, but at my church, yeah, it was. I went to church with predominantly all white people. I think like I said, this movie does touch on universal truths. So Regina Hall's on stage, and she says, yeah, I hope you like this movie. She's like, this movie is something like, it's definitely about an African American church. And she's like, okay, and she says something like, you know, oh, they say something like, hey, it's kind of a weird movie. They said something like that. Like, it's kind of a weird movie, so, you know, be nice to the movie, something like that. And she's like, I'm looking at you, white people. She says something like that. Regina Hall says that. And it got a big laugh, like a big laugh. So as soon as she said something like, I'm looking at you, white people, then the entire audience, myself included, we just busted out laughing, like, ah, cha, cha, cha. I don't laugh like that, but we laughed. We laughed it. That's not a word either. So we laughed. So she says that, I'm looking at you, white people. We all laughed and laughed. And then she was surprised. She wasn't expecting to get such a big laugh. But I do think, because it's San Francisco's like progressive in a good way. And then sometimes progressive in a bad way. I've seen how progressive politics can really fuck over a city. So there's pros and cons to progressiveness. I've seen with my eyeballs in San Francisco. So anyway, but because we're a progressive city, like the joke about white people, like we thought it was super funny. Like it was hilarious. We're like, you're right, Regina. Sometimes us white people, we do be tripping. Okay, so she got a big laugh from that. And then she goes off stage, and then they show the movie. And Fish Jelly Films, their review kind of touched on the filmmaking aspects of the movie. And I think that's legit. what they talk about, but and I'll link to their review too, because they're pretty awesome. Yeah, okay. But so I'm gonna talk about what in this movie worked. So the thing that works in this movie, okay, I already touched on it, but the best thing about this movie, I think, is Regina Hall. So the number one reason to watch this movie is Regina Hall, because what she represents, she plays the preacher's wife, basically. And we come to find out that the scandal, her husband, Sterling K. Brown, he basically, they don't go into detail, but I feel like he cheated on his wife, but he cheated on his wife with like a couple of young men. So the young men were like at least 19 or 20, and I think Sterling K. Brown's Sterling K. Brown's an actor. His character, but his character I think is mid-40s. So, but he tends to go after like young guys, so like 19, 20, 21. So, but it sounds like there's like 4 or 5 of them. So he's cheated with like 4 or 5 guys, young guys, and they don't say to what extent. But for me, I feel like it was enough for there to be a lawsuit. So, and Sterling K. Brown's character used to preach against gay people and blah blah blah, which is terrible. Okay. The other thing they do is like they don't even paint Sterling K. Brown's character as like bisexual or anything like that. Like, no, he's just straight up gay. Like the way they present it. Like, there's this scene, and again, I already touched on. Regina Hall is like a very attractive woman. So like, anyway, there's this scene where they're trying to be intimate, or they're trying to have sex. Like Regina Hall, you know, they're married and she's in the mood to have sex, and they show like he can't get an erection, like unless, like the way they present the sex scene is he can't get an erection unless he's thinking about something, like unless he's thinking about something else, like, you know, basically a guy. So he's not even bisexual, he's just gay, which is fine. But, I mean, obviously gay pride. Hashtag gay pride. But the way they present, like, basically, Sterling K. Brown's character is, the way they present him, he's kind of an asshole. And, but then that's what makes this it kind of makes it problematic. Okay. Then Fish Jelly picked up on, Fish Jelly kind of talked about this, and I agree with them. So, the issue with these kind of narratives, it's when, respectfully, but it's when straight people tell gay stories, you can run into issues, and there's there's a little bit of a issue here. Okay, but anyway, so if you're LGBTQ, so Sterling Brown is, anyway, whatever. He's gay, so like he can't even have sex with her. He can't get an erection, and Regina Hall is, like I said, a very attractive woman. So, yeah. But anyway, but what we see with Regina Hall is just the burden of being a preacher's wife, the burden of being married to a guy who doesn't feel a desire for her because of his sexual orientation. He identifies as straight, though. He thinks his attraction to men is like Satan, the devil. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm completely enamored with Regina Hall, which I'm totally okay with. I just feel like if you grew up going to church, and I did, and my mom was a preacher's wife, so I think the women or the preacher's wives, they carry a lot of the burden. And my dad was a minister, and he was an asshole, but and I forgive him, but and he passed away a year or two ago. But this movie does a good job of showing like the burden that falls on the women in church to kind of like carry a heavy load. And that's why, like, maybe I'm being too much, but I just feel like, and I don't know how many people in the academy grew up going to church, but it's just like, I think Regina Hall should be nominated for an Oscar for her role, because she's basically representing like a lot of women and the burden they bear, being like a preacher's wife, carrying the church in so many ways, just like how much Regina has to put up with, because religion or whatever tells her to stand by her man, and you feel really bad for Regina Hall's character. But Regina Hall does such a good job playing the character. So yeah, Regina Hall's great in the movie. Okay, I recommend it. Second reason to watch it is Sterling K. Brown. He's a really great he's just a really good actor, and he's great in everything. So he's the second reason to watch it. Totally, Sterling K. Brown, second reason to watch it. Okay. The third reason this movie is good is because, it brings up two issues, but it doesn't necessarily provide any answers. So it brings up Christianity and capitalism, and because these characters, they really like fashion, so they have like Prada, and really they live in a mansion and all that kind of stuff. And like I'm on the fence, like as far as like ministers go. So I'm an indie filmmaker, and my plan is to like make it as a filmmaker and all that kind of stuff. But so I'm an indie filmmaker, and I want to make it as a filmmaker one day, like legit. But I'm okay being being wealthy or having abundance as a filmmaker, because I'd be okay with that. But I know, like, back in the day, I had a friend studying to be a minister, and she was like, "Oh, Julie, you should be a minister." And nowadays, there's LGBTQ ministers and LGBTQ affirming churches and blah blah blah. That's kind of old news, but so I was like, yeah, but it's just not my calling, because sometimes I do like to drink a beer or something like that, or I think like being a minister, it's too much pressure to like quote unquote be perfect or not have flaws. And then like, yeah, maybe one day I do want, when I have more abundance, maybe I would want, I don't know, maybe I would have more expensive taste or something like that. But it's just like, I would feel weird being a millionaire minister. I don't know. Well, actually, no. Okay. If I was a minister and I wrote a book and it sold really well, and then I was a millionaire from the book, I'd feel okay with that. But I guess I'm on the fence about, I don't know, I guess I'm on the fence about mega churches in general. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence. Like, can you be a minister? I guess the question is, does Christianity and capitalism mix? Are they a good mix? That kind of thing is the question. But I don't necessarily have the answer. All I know, like, out of respect for God, or since I'm gay and I'm also, like, I still go to a gay affirming church and blah, blah, blah. So out of respect for God and, like, out of respect for Jesus, I just think I don't want to be a minister, because it's, like, I feel like if you get the calling to be a minister, like, you have to be reverent, and you have to be, like, I don't know. And it's, like, every once in a while I might want to drink a beer and that kind of thing. If I was a minister, I'd feel weird about drinking a beer, but then I'm not judging ministers who drink beer because I'm not judging. So, all right. It's just a tricky job to have. Okay. But, yeah. So, okay, the other thing that it brings up, obviously, is Christianity and sexuality. But again, it doesn't offer any answers. But it just sort of brings these things up. Yeah. And I think that's where Fish Jelly, the issue they had with the film was, the movie's good. It's mainly good. I feel like it's worth mainly watching for Regina Hall. But it just doesn't offer any answers. So, yeah. So it brings up, so the thing about Sterling K. Brown, here's what's kind of, his character's name is Lee Curtis. So I'm going to be talking about Lee Curtis. Okay. The way they present Lee Curtis, and this is where it's a little problematic. Fish Jelly said, like, they wish that the filmmakers had consulted a gay person before they made the movie, and I was like, yeah, that's valid. Okay. Sterling K. Brown's character is kind of, I'm sorry, let's call him Lee Curtis. That's his name. Lee Curtis, like, it's just kind of odd because you see him around other, like, he likes young gay guys. So there's this part where, like, I don't know, you see him, like, even when they're, like, wrapping up some old scandals, which they are, which cost them a lot of money, now you see him basically flirt with, like, he's back to his old habits. He's flirting with the young gay guy. And he's just doing it in a way that's, like, basically kind of creepy or kind of intense. Like, you see him interact with 3 different, like, young men. So the first one is a young gay guy, and the gay guy's, like, and by young, I think he's, like, mid-20s. But he's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. You know, the sound guy's, like, the guy he's flirting with has a boyfriend. And then we meet one of the guys who was in the lawsuit. And that guy, he's angry. He gets out of his car and he walks towards Lee Curtis. And he looks heartbroken. So it seems like he had some sort of, like, he liked Lee Curtis. Like, he actually, maybe he fell in love with him, that kind of thing. They're kind of hinting towards that. He's like, you know, like, I thought I was special. I thought you liked me. I thought we were going to be something. And Lee Curtis is looking at him, like, kind of intense. Like, Lee Curtis gets kind of intense with the young guys. And, like, how could he... So, the young guy looks heartbroken. Like, I didn't know there were other men, you know? And you feel bad because, like, basically Lee Curtis is predatory. So, anyway, that's the third interaction. This other young guy goes to Lee Curtis and compliments him, like, hey, your sermons really got me through. You really helped me out. And then Lee Curtis looks at him kind of intensely. And then gives him a hug, and it's just the way Lee Curtis interacts with these young gay guys. It's just kind of like creepy. Yeah, it's just like a smidgen creepy. So what I was gonna say about that was the thing about this little world of Christianity, like this in my opinion, very capitalistic version of Christianity, and no shade, like, there's plenty of, like, white people mega churches, so I'm not, I don't want to be a white person, you know, critiquing people of color. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just talking about the institution of Christianity in general, because this happens with white, whatever, it happens with, they're having fun. Okay, my neighbor's having a good party. Okay. Oh yeah, so this is the part that's, like, problematic. So the part that's problematic is that, and these days there's so many depictions of LGBTQ people, it's like, and that's a blessing. So I think the narrative has changed a lot, but, so you know, in this version, you know, because they're like condemning homosexuality and blah 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 blah, and they're making a lot of money off this version of Christianity. So it's like they're making a lot of money off this version of Christianity. So it's got to be validating what they're doing. But I feel like if this version of Christianity just was accepting of LGBTQ people, then maybe Lee Curtis, maybe he could like express his, like maybe if the opportunity was there, maybe Lee Curtis could express his homosexuality like in a more positive, normal way. But because it's so suppressed in so many ways, it comes out in like creepy ways. So it's like, if this version of Christianity, it just allowed him to just be a gay guy, then he could just get coffee or go on a date or la la la, you know what I mean? But like, you know, he like doesn't, and that's where it kind of sucks. Okay, and the other thing is, but the other thing about this is, I went to this church that was really bad for my mental health, and I already made like a bunch of videos about it, and like I totally forgive them, that kind of thing. But so I grew up in a teeny tiny little church. This is a picture of it, and it was actually a pretty positive experience. And like my Sunday school teacher, her sister was a lesbian. She was really good at singing gospel music, and our church would have her come sing gospel music, and they knew she was gay, and they didn't care. They just wanted to hear some really good gospel music. So like the church I went to didn't talk about sexuality one way or another. So as far as being gay, like they didn't condemn it, but they didn't talk about it either. So I don't know, like it wasn't a thing, and whatever. And I made a lot of videos about it. But and then like, so the church I went to, like basically we'd go to church, we'd hear a Bible story, and then the minister would say, hey, you know, let's all be loving and kind and make the world a better place. And we're like, okay. And like that was church was, so it was actually a pretty positive experience for me, and blah blah blah, I'm a Christian, blah blah blah. So I didn't grow up, like I call like the capitalistic Christianity, like it's kind of like cool Christianity, like they're trying to make Christianity like cool, and I don't know. That's not the point. The point of church is just like ideally spiritual enlightenment and nurturing a relationship with God. Like ideally that's the point of church. But if you're going to like a good church or a positive church, that kind of thing. But anyway, so I actually grew up with overall, and my Sunday school teacher was like a really cool person. So I remember my Sunday school teacher being cool. Oh yeah. So okay, so I tried to. So I went to this church. It was bad for my mental health, but there were positive things about it. I met a really cool friend named Liddy from that church. So, but it ended up being like a really bad church, really toxic church environment for me. But yeah, and something I kind of, at this church, a week after my dad died, I got fucked over by a friend who is straight, and she like really fucked me over. And I told a couple of people, leaders in the church, and they took her side because she's straight and I'm gay. And they kind of like blame the situation on me because she's straight and I'm gay. And I guess what I want to say is like basically like the church was they were trying to prove that they're like gay affirming, but they're basically not, because there is like nuance in the LGBTQ community, and it's hard for straight people to understand that, especially dumb straight people, especially like dumb Christian straight people. So I guess my issue with the movie is there's already religious straight people who walk around thinking that all LGBTQ people are predatory, and we're like not. So I'm really not. I'm actually like really squeaky clean, like very squeaky clean, like extremely squeaky clean. Like it hurts my dating life because yeah, women. So I don't know how many favors this movie is doing for LGBTQ people, because there's already homophobic straight people who they already think all gay people are like Sterling K. Brown, Lee Curtis's character. So I don't know how much this does for LGBTQ people really, but also these days there's so many different depictions of gay people. It might not even matter, you know. So I think it's a good movie. It brings up a lot of stuff, but I do recommend it, and yeah, I totally recommend Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. Great movie, especially Regina Hall. Okay, talk to y'all later. I'm Julie Kerr. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my movies. You can join my email list. Totally get discounts on everything if you join my email list. Y'all are the best. You're awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.